What's going on, everybody? I am your host, Juice Wayne, and this is a review of this week's Gotham. I don't know. Let's be real. Let's freaking be real here. I didn't like this week's episode, so that means you guys must have loved it, because I didn't love it, but I liked last week's episode, and you guys absolutely hated it. So I'm assuming that you guys gotta like this week's episode, right? But either way, this was terrible. Okay, maybe terrible is a strong word, but this was a pretty boring episode, right? Like, nothing really happened in it. I know Ivy came back, but she was kind of boring. There was this trial of Jim Gordon that was completely meaningless, in my opinion. Like, for real. Like, what really happened? We know at the end of the episode, Jim Gordon got married. Like, oh my god. Which, I just want to point this out, which was really, really dumb when it came to this whole wedding thing, because it involved Bruce and Selena, right? So throughout the whole episode, Bruce is like under the spell of Ivy, and Selena ends up saving him, and she's like punching him in the face, and she's all like, you said you're gonna leave, and what about the rest of us here, and blah, 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 blah. So there's that, right? That gets freaking Bruce out of this whole mentality that he's gotta leave Gotham to make it a better place. You know, Jim Gordon comes out of his coma, or whatever, his trial that's going on in his brain. He wakes up, and he's all like, Lee, and you know, he whispers something into Lee's ear, and it turns out he's all like, I want to marry you. It jumps a month. A month goes by. It literally tells you this in the episode, and everybody's in the GCPD. They're having a wedding. Jim and Lee are gonna get married. Cool. But freaking Bruce looks over to Selena, and he's like, hey, so, when Ivy had control of me, you were mentioning something, and Selena's like, oh, no, wait. You're freaking telling me that it took a month for Bruce to have that conversation with Selena, and he did it so nonchalantly with no, like, freaking, like, oh, he didn't see Ivy in the prison, or he didn't see somebody that was there with him when the whole Ivy thing happened to make him remind him of that conversation. He was like, no. He was like, hey, yeah, so, you know, with the whole thing with Ivy, you asked me this. Like, you waited over a month, Bruce, and you just so happened wanted to talk about that right here when the wedding is going on? Like, come on. So the whole Bruce asking Selena stuff was kind of dumb in my opinion. And then the whole thing with, you know, the trial of Jim Gordon, what did he really learn from that? Like, honestly, if you go back and watch that, did he really learn anything? It was just the judge saying like, oh yeah, you know, you've done this, everybody around Jim Gordon dies or whatever. And then he has the kid that died show him to the electric chair and everything. But there's nothing that really like clicks, or there was never like this major scene that you're just like, oh shit, like there's really some good character development there from Jim Gordon. Like, it's just, at the end of it, he's just like, oh yeah, I know I can't do this without Lee. But, you know, if you wanted to make this more powerful, show a bunch of flashbacks of Lee. Like, show them together. Show her helping him through things, her saving his life, her doing all of these different things. But none of that really happens. You could have made this so much more powerful if every time Lee was like, Jim, I need you to wake up, I need you to wake up. If he was lost in some kind of maze, or he couldn't get out of something, and her voice was just bringing him back to life. Like, no, it was none of that. It was just these random ass like things, like they were having a wake and he was in jail, and they were all just like, oh Harvey, what's going on here? And you saw like Professor Pig, and you saw all the villains that he's kind of like killed or, you know, fought over the seasons, which that was kind of cool, like a little homage to everything that we've seen in previous seasons. But the whole thing of Jim Gordon's trial was completely pointless, and it didn't really show that Lee was this big character in his life. Just like the whole Bruce and Selena thing at the end of the episode, where it took him a month to have that conversation, the whole thing with the trial of Jim Gordon was just really dumb and kind of felt out of place and was kind of useless in my opinion. So there was that. But I will say, with Jim and Lee getting married, my theory that I talked about like 2 or 3 seasons ago about Barbara and having a baby and, you know, bringing Barbara Gordon into this actual world, is I do 100% think that Barbara is going to die by the end of the season, and that way Lee and Jim can raise the baby as Barbara Gordon, and they're going to name it after Barbara because Barbara is going to do something heroic, maybe like at the final, or maybe not the season finale because that's a 10-year time jump, but maybe in the episode before that finale, you know, she saves Jim's life or she saves Lee's life, and then they have to like rush her into the emergency room and they have the baby or something like that, and then they name it Barbara after Barbara. Because I just don't see how this is gonna work. I mean, you saw at the very end, you know, Penguin was all like, you know, Gordon's gonna chase you, and she's like, he can freaking try or whatever. So I do think that Barbara is going to die. Even the producer said that by the end of this series, she's going to be a hero. So I think she's going to die a hero. And that's going to show, you know, her saving Jim's life or Lee's life is going to show Jim like, oh, you have changed. You are a good person. And I think that's going to be kind of her swan song. And then they're going to have the baby, you know, in like dramatic fashion or something like that. And then they'll name it Barbara. That is my theory. It's been my theory for a really long time. And with them getting married now, it does totally seem like they are going to go that route, because I don't see them just having this weird love triangle thing going on. I do think Barbara is going to die, and then they will name the baby Barbara. Moving on to the core of this episode, I guess, which was Poison Ivy, which, okay, cool. I don't know, did anybody care about this? Did anybody think that Ivy was awesome in this? It just came out of nowhere. I feel like this storyline of Ivy wanting to make Gotham into this whole new utopia or forest or whatever, this is something you could have done over half of a season, or you should have done multiple episodes. But Ivy just kind of comes in and comes out like, I want the plants and I want this and that. And it's just kind of really weird instead of building it to something. Like we saw her earlier in the season where she just brought, you know, freaking Selena back to life again, which is another repeated storyline. And, you know, there was a little bit of mention of that in this episode. But, I mean, what really happened with her? Like, to be honest, what was really happening? She was just taking over people's minds. Her stuff got foiled really quickly, and she got shot. But it doesn't go anywhere. Like, she wasn't working for anybody. I don't see what the point of this whole story was at all. It didn't really develop anybody's character at all. Like, I know Bruce got put under control. He even got punked out by Ivy. But I just don't, what did it do? It didn't do anything for anybody. I know I wasn't the only one that thought it was pretty crazy that Zaz was able to have a shootout and nobody else shot at him. They let him talk. They let him just be like, oh yeah, what's going on? He was just there standing in like nothing was blocking him. He was literally on top of a table shooting like this at like 20 different cops. You're telling me not one cop was gonna take a pop shot at him? Like, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I don't know, guys. I don't know. I just can't. Like, how many episodes do we have left until this? I think we're genuinely, I don't know about all you Gotham fans out there, but I think a majority of people that are on the edge, like myself, or people that have jumped off the edge with this show, are just watching for the finale episode. That is my big question for this video, because there's not really much else for me to talk about. There's honestly nothing happened in this episode. But the big question is, are you genuinely watching Gotham just because you want to see the finale? Let me know your answer to that question in the comment sections down below. That is genuinely all I got for this episode, guys. I'm going to try to have out another video today or tomorrow for you guys, because there is some interesting movie news coming out, so definitely keep an eye out for that, because I know this Gotham video isn't very satisfying, but you know what? Neither was that episode. Feel free to check out any of my other videos right here, ladies and gentlemen. Also hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the bat-tastic content that is coming to this channel. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Juice Wayne, and remember, Batman is awesome. See you guys next time. Yes! A new Intercontinental Champion, baby! We finally got it! We finally got it in here! Oh my god! Bro! Get out of here! Oh! Woo! We did it, bitches! We fucking did it! Yes, we're the